Welcome to Sunny's Mindset Lab. Today we have a very special guest, Jen Sincero, the best-selling author of You Are a Badass at Making Money. We're diving deep into the mindset, energy, and strategies behind creating wealth and how anyone can transform their financial reality even if they've never believed it was possible.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to dig into this because making money isn't just about math. It's about mindset, energy, habits, and giving yourself permission to live the life you truly want.
That distinction right there, that making money is an internal energetic process before it's an external logistical one, that's the perfect foundation for this deep dive.
It's everything.
So our mission today is to unpack those deep unconscious beliefs that keep people stuck, in that cycle of financial struggle, and to provide some really practical tools they can use right now to become a financial badass.
Let's do it.
Okay, so let's start with the biggest block, the one everyone feels. These unconscious beliefs we pick up, often from childhood, that just stop wealth from happening. If success is just about execution, why do so many smart, capable people spend decades, excelling at financial mediocrity? And what is this concept you call the little prince who's running this whole show?
Well, it really comes down to this one core psychological truth. The human brain is hardwired to prioritize the known over the unknown,
Even if the known is painful.
especially if it's painful. The little prince is your subconscious self, and its only job is to keep you in a safe, known space. We call that the comfort zone.
A survival mechanism, basically.
Exactly. It's what kept our ancestors from being eaten by tigers, but in modern life, it just keeps us small.
And this isn't just about, emotional comfort. This is tangible physical discomfort that we somehow rationalize as being normal.
Oh, completely. I lived this for 40 years. I achieved peak financial mediocrity.
What did that look like?
I was living in a converted garage in an alley. I was terrified of what dental work might cost. I was performing these extreme financial gymnastics that would have exhausted an Olympic athlete.
Right.
For years, I was finding ways to avoid spending money, like eating the free bread at restaurants and telling people I was only going to drink tap water because I love the tap in this city.
Oh, wow. I think we've all been there with a version of that.
Or using duct tape to fix a leaking pipe or a broken shoe strap. I did all of it. Because the alternative, the unknown of success, somehow felt way more dangerous than the known misery of being broke.
That duct tape moment, I think a lot of people can relate to that realization that you're spending more energy avoiding the problem than it would take to just solve it. So why is that old identity, the one with all those clever excuses, why is it so incredibly sticky?
Because those old truths, the programs that got installed in childhood, they're familiar. We build a whole identity around them.
So the walls of the comfort zone are...
What? They're lovingly decorated with your lifelong collection of favorite excuses. And your little prince guards them fiercely.
And when you try to step out.
It feels incredibly painful. Those old beliefs, they cut off your circulation, like trying to squeeze into snow pants you wore when you were a kid, but now you're 36.
Right.
And because it feels so tight and painful, your subconscious screams, "This is danger. Go back to the familiar pain."
So the first major step then to escape that mediocrity is just identifying that invisible fence. How do we go from that awareness that my snow pants don't fit anymore to actually starting this huge transformation?
The first step has to be radical awareness. You have to acknowledge the underlying belief that is actually driving the bus.
Because most people think it's external.
Right. They think, I don't have enough capital or the economy is bad. But the problem is usually a deep, limiting belief about worthiness. Look at Charles from the book. He was making $20,000 a year. 7 months later, he was over $145,000.
And that wasn't a new skill.
Not at all. The only difference was realizing his deep-seated message from growing up poor was basically, I'm not worth anything.
And what did that belief look like in his actual life? How did he sabotage himself?
Well, he'd start businesses, but then he would consistently undercharge. Or he'd get a great opportunity and then suddenly panic and back out.
So he was pushing the money away.
Actively pushing it away.
Yeah.
He'd neglect following up with high-paying clients because the money felt too big or too easy. It contradicted his fundamental truth about himself, that he didn't deserve it. Once he recognized that he was the source of the sabotage, then he could question it, diffuse it, and start to rewrite it. Awareness is everything. You can't change what you refuse to look at.
Okay, so awareness is the key to the door, but you still have to walk through it, and that requires a firm declaration. So many of us get stuck in that painful paralysis of indecision. That I don't know what I want to do, feeling that can last for years. Why is a firm, unflinching decision so critical for creating wealth?
Because of the word itself. The Latin roots of the word decide literally mean to cut off,
To cut off.
to cut off all other options. A real decision means there is no plan B, no possibility of failure or retreat. You yank that one foot that was still out the door, and now both feet are fully inside. You're committed.
That is fascinating because we're all taught to keep our options open, right? That having a backup plan is the responsible thing to do.
But a backup plan is a guaranteed escape route for the little prince.
I see.
Absolutely. Indecision is paralyzing because you're trying to hold two conflicting energies at once, moving forward and staying safe, and they just cancel each other out. A true decision demands rapid, immediate action because you've eliminated the time and the space for all those excuses to creep in. If you have a backup plan, you haven't really made a decision.
You're just giving yourself permission to fail.
Exactly. And the little prince loves that permission slip.
You proved this yourself when you set that huge financial goal with your coach. The goal wasn't just about the money, was it? It was about forcing a whole new way of being. Tell us about that.
My coach, she asked me to intuitively pick an amount I could manifest in 1 week. And I nervously said, $5,000. Even that felt massive at the time.
Okay.
Her immediate response was to tell me to double it to $10,000 and to do it in 48 hours.
Wow. Why double it? That seems almost cruel.
Because she understood that a slightly uncomfortable goal lets you stay in your comfort zone. You just hustle a little harder. A ridiculously terrifying goal that forces you to change who you are being.
So the huge number wasn't about greed. It was about the intensity of the commitment.
Precisely. To pull off $10,000 in 48 hours, I had to treat it like it was a life or death situation. It required such focus, such a no-nonsense attitude, that I literally wouldn't have been derailed even if a gorilla was loose in my living room.
Huh. So that kind of high-stakes deadline forces you out of thinking and into doing.
Instantly, you stop asking, can I do this? And you immediately start asking, how must I do this? It changes your frequency on the spot.
But that intensity, that gorilla in the living room focus, that sounds like a recipe for burnout if you try to maintain it long term.
Well, the urgency is required to make the decision. It forces the first big leaps, so your subconscious has to catch up. But the counterbalance is this shift to your energy. You don't live in constant panic mode forever. You start living in focused, creative service. Once you prove to yourself you can generate that kind of money, the daily action shifts from frantic hustling to calm, confident creation. You're no longer acting from lack, you're acting from a place of generating. It's a huge energy shift.
And what happens if you get that sudden knowing hint, that brilliant idea, but you hesitate? Just for a moment. Why is that delay so dangerous?
Oh, hesitation is the crack. It's the crack where all of your favorite excuses will burst right through and sweep you back into the comfort zone.
It's that fast.
Brilliant ideas are like love notes from the universe. They're delivered precisely when you have the courage to hear them. If you don't act immediately on that intuitive hit, all those old limiting beliefs, the ones that have been running your life and keeping you small, they will take over and just drown out your resolve.
That little voice that says, let me just research this for 6 weeks.
That's your little prince trying to save you from your own greatness. You have to leap. You just have to leap like the mighty badass you are.
That idea of leaping brings us right to self-worth. It's so clear that money is tangled up with our feelings of being valued, of being deserving. For people who grew up with that scarcity mindset, how does increasing self-respect translate directly into increasing net worth?
Because money is currency, and currency is energy. And the amount of energy you're willing to receive is directly tied to how much you value yourself and the service you provide.
So if you think your work is easy, or that anyone could do it,
You instinctively shrink the energy around the exchange. You devalue the experience for everyone involved.
do you have an example of that kind of self-devaluation?
Oh yeah, I had an old friend, a brilliant, hilarious performer, a fantastic MC. He loved the work, but he felt genuinely weird about charging for it, especially from friends.
He felt guilty.
Totally guilty. He felt guilty asking for money for something that came so easily to him. So for years, he basically worked 2 jobs. The soul-crushing one he hated that paid the bills, and the one he loved that drained him to the point of exhaustion because he wasn't being compensated. He was operating in a deficit.
So he was equating ease with low value.
Exactly. He only got it when he watched another professional MC who was, frankly, terrible. But this guy had no problem charging a high fee because he believed in the value he provided. My friend had to finally realize that his natural brilliance, his years of experience, deserve compensation. When you shrink the money you receive, you shrink the energy you put out. You're telling the universe I'm not worth supporting.
So the key is realizing that charging more isn't just about you, it's about aligning with a higher frequency that actually benefits the client too. They have to show up at a higher level of commitment.
It's an investment, not a transaction.
Yeah.
Absolutely. When I went from charging $25 an hour for coaching to $12,000 for a package, I felt physically nauseous sending that price tag.
I can imagine.
But the part of me that was ready to play big, the part that knew my value, understood the energy shift. And when the client signed up immediately, he too was ready to stretch and play at that high level. His investment meant he took it seriously, which meant we both kicked so much ass.
For someone listening right now who's stuck in that low frequency habit, how do they start correcting it, like today?
You have to start internalizing your worth immediately. Adopt the mantra, I love money because I love myself.
I love money because I love myself.
Repeat it until it feels true. It links your self-worth directly to your financial manifestation. It's the simplest way to tell your subconscious, hey, we're operating under a new, higher frequency of self-respect now.
Okay, beyond the mantra, what's one immediate action we can take to start embodying that version of you who already has the money, instead of waiting for the money to show up first?
You have to focus on who you need to become right now. You can't wait for the money to give you confidence. You have to use confidence to attract the money. Look at Joe's story. He went from $40,000 a year to over $100,000 once he realized he was his own biggest block. He was so critical of himself, he didn't think he deserved the wealth, and that just resulted in self-destruction and procrastination.
So he was actively putting up his own roadblocks. What was his turning point?
He had to stop seeing success as something he was chasing and start seeing it as something he was being. He started applying himself, getting out of his comfort zone, and recognizing that opportunities were already there for him. He had to believe that the success was already his, that the promotion was basically guaranteed before it actually materialized. You have to identify with the successful person you are becoming. Act like them, dress like them, use the language they use.
That's a perfect transition. Let's talk about the spiritual and energetic side, this idea of money as energy and frequency. You say our daily words dictate our financial reality. For someone who might be a little skeptical of a word like frequency, how does this work on a purely psychological level?
Look, words bring our thoughts to life. They anchor our beliefs into our reality through repetition. Psychologically, what comes out of your mouth comes into your life because your words are like a chisel.
A chisel.
They form these deep neurological grooves in your brain that play the same stories over and over. If you constantly say, I am broke, your brain's reticular activating system will go to work to confirm that truth. It will show you every single reason why you're broke, and that just reinforces the belief.
So our language isn't just describing our reality, it's actively creating it.
Absolutely. For 40 years, I told myself, I don't know what I want to do with my life, and guess what? I stayed stuck. I was reinforcing the truth, that I was rudderless.
So what should you have said?
If I had said, clues are all around me, I'm in the process of discovering my path, I would have opened myself up to receive opportunities and actually recognize them when they showed up. Your language controls the filter through which you see the world.
So we need to become detectives, sniffing out that low-frequency, lack-based language. What are some of those concrete phrases we need to just stop using immediately?
Listen for any language that implies limitation or not having ownership.
Mhm.
Things like, I want, which just means I lack.
Right.
I wish, which means I'm giving my power away to fate. I need because I don't have. I can't. Or I'm trying.
I'm trying feels like a good one.
It's terrible. Means you're not committed, you're giving yourself an out. And the most insidious one is saying, I don't know, as if it's an unchangeable truth. It just slams the door shut on finding out.
So what are the immediate high-frequency replacements we should be using instead?
You replace them immediately with words of power and action. I have, I create, I enjoy, I can, and my favorite, I choose. When you say, I choose to create, you are declaring sovereignty over your own reality. You are putting yourself in the driver's seat.
You also have this brilliant perspective on the emotional energy of worry. You connect it directly to manifestation.
Well, worrying is just focused, high-energy thinking about a negative outcome, which makes it incredibly creative. We're so good at worrying that we often worry things right into existence.
So worrying is praying for stuff you don't want.
That's exactly it. It's intense focus, just misdirected. But the good news is, if you are a really skilled worrier and your focus muscle is in great shape, you already have the raw talent to be a master manifester.
Okay, so the power isn't in stopping the anxiety, it's in redirecting that focus muscle that worry has already trained for us. How does a chronic worrier do that practically?
You have to consciously choose to redirect it. Instead of running that loop of, what if I can't pay the mortgage? You instantly swap it with, how amazing is it that I'm creating abundance and finding new clients right now?
Mm-hmm.
You have to choose to perceive your situation in a powerful way, even if your reality hasn't caught up yet. Focus on the fact that since you got a job once, you can get an even better one. Focus on the opportunities, not the limitations.
That shift is huge, but when you're already in that panic mode, when the loud bar of your brain is screaming about bills, even 5 minutes of quiet can feel impossible. What's a short daily practice a beginner can use to start shifting their frequency?
I suggest the shut up even more practice, which is purposeful silence or meditation.
Okay.
You don't have to go live in a monastery.
Yeah.
Even 5 minutes a day, if you do it every single day, it will make a profound difference. Meditation is the tool that shuts down that loud, frantic bar in your brain and allows your higher self to commune with universal intelligence.
And for the listener who is purely practical, what is the tangible outcome of that connection?
The outcome is clarity and conviction. That bond strengthens your emotional connection to the truth that you're an infinitely powerful spirit capable of creating anything. It gives you the clear, intuitive hits you need to take action. The more you feel that deep internal truth, the more powerful and rich you'll let yourself be, because the little prince can no longer convince you that you are fundamentally limited.
Now, when people start doing this, they raise their frequency, they take action, and they often hit what you call the terror threshold, that moment where success is right there and the subconscious just freaks out and triggers self-sabotage. What are the markers? How can someone identify that they're in that terror threshold?
It's that moment you feel massive excitement, immediately followed by a wave of crushing anxiety, or nausea, or a sudden, urgent need to go clean out your sock drawer.
Procrastination.
Right. It's when your inner voice shifts from, this is so exciting, to, this is way too risky, I should probably wait. When you're about to change who you're being, sign the big contract, launch the project, your subconscious freaks out because you are essentially killing off your old, safe identity.
And that's where the fear often disguises itself as being practical or responsible. It becomes, I can't afford that, when the real fear is much, much deeper. You had an incredible story about this with the $85,000 coaching package.
It was huge. Just thinking the thought, I'm the kind of person who can manifest $85,000 and become gigantically successful, was so far outside my comfort zone that my subconscious just rose up, guns blazing, and revealed the core limiting belief that was hidden at the very bottom of the well.
And that belief had nothing to do with money.
No. The fear was that if I became financially successful and independent, my adorable father, who showed me love and validation by giving me little bits of money when I needed it, would be crushed. He'd feel defeated and abandoned because I wouldn't need him anymore.
So success meant rejecting your father's love.
Exactly. That's how complicated and insidious these blocks can be.
That kind of internal wiring, tying your success to abandoning your family, that must be so common but so hidden. How can listeners start to uncover their own hidden financial emotional triggers?
You have to trace the money story back to the relationships. Ask yourself, if I had everything I wanted financially tomorrow, who would I disappoint? Who would I leave behind? Who would judge me? A lot of times, the wealth block isn't about worthiness. It's about belonging. Once you uncover that old, unhelpful belief that success equals loneliness, you can question it, diffuse it, and rewrite it.
And once we identify that fear, how do we build the momentum to actually move past it?
The key action item here is busting yourself. Tip number 1, bum rush your fears.
Bum rush your fears.
Figure out something you can do right now that is a giant step toward your goal, but is so scary it makes you feel like you might puke. That feeling of nausea is the chemical sign that you are pushing against your internal limits.
Can you give us a few examples of bum rushing a fear for different people? Say, a freelancer, a business owner, someone in a corporate job.
For the freelancer who hates sales, bum rush the fear by cold calling 10 new clients right now before you have time to think about it. For the business owner, that might mean signing the lease on the space that feels too big and expensive.
Forcing yourself to expand.
Yes. For the corporate person, it could be scheduling that salary negotiation and demanding double what you originally planned to ask for. The goal is to force those subconscious beliefs to the surface through immediate, terrifying action so you can actually deal with them. It's like hurling up something toxic that needs to get out of your system.
That leads perfectly to the need for taking risks. The old philosophy tells us to shrink back from something desirable because it's too risky. What's the difference between genuine, dangerous recklessness and the required discomfort you're talking about?
You must take huge, uncomfy risks. You have to do stuff you've never done before, make yourself visible, risk looking stupid. The discomfort that comes with growth is not danger, it's expansion.
It's equal parts eek and hell yeah.
Exactly. Fear and excitement are two sides of the exact same coin. They're only separated by your perception of them. That discomfort is the thrilling feeling of living large and in charge. Trying to protect yourself from your fears only protects you from living a fully evolved and juicy life.
Okay, this brings us to a really controversial piece of advice you offer, last resort spending, which involves, going into debt, but with a very specific mindset. For the skeptical listener, this just sounds like financial recklessness.
And it is if you do it wrong. This is not about funding a shopping spree because you feel entitled. This is the money version of leap and the net will appear. And it absolutely must be done from a place of decision. I'm talking about going out on a limb and demanding that you rise to the occasion and do not stop until you make that money back, plus a profit. It's an investment in your belief system, not an expense driven by fear.
So the debt is really just a tool to create an urgent, non-negotiable deadline for yourself.
Precisely. It's like wanting to take a life-changing trip, but never having the time or the money. Buy the damn ticket, book the hotels, and then force your schedule and your income to fit around it. You buy the coaching package, you rent the studio, you hire the expensive assistant before you can comfortably afford them, because that commitment forces the little prince to shut up. It tells the universe, I am all in, now watch what I create. The commitment has to come first. The comfort comes second.
For listeners who need to start smaller with that no inner negotiation mindset, what's a simple first step they can practice today?
You have to develop zero tolerance for internal negotiations. Let's say you decide you're going to make 5 sales calls before lunch. The moment that little idea pops into your head to check Facebook one more time,
Which it always does.
you have to instantly recognize it for what it is, a negotiation away from your goal, and you do not engage.
We tend to have a whole conversation with that thought. Just 5 minutes won't hurt.
But it will. Don't consider it for 1 second. Just move along like the thought didn't even happen. Each one of those little negotiations is a crack in your resolve where procrastination seeps in. Instead, you just identify with the new habit. I'm a successful person who gets stuff done and maintains momentum. End of story. Don't waste energy arguing with the little prince. Just declare your new identity and act.
Now, when you're taking these big leaps, there's often a lag between the effort and the results, and that really challenges our faith. You define faith as trust in the abundant universe, especially when we can't see the evidence yet.
Faith is trust in the unseen support. It is the bridge between your current reality and the future reality you're creating. I had to practice this when I got an offer for a TV show based on my book. The initial offer, they said it was their final offer, and the percentage was just way too low. I had to take a huge, terrifying leap of faith and pass on it.
That is a massive risk. You're walking away from a concrete, guaranteed thing based on an unseen possibility.
It was excruciating. But I had to trust that an even more awesome offer was around the corner instead of freaking out and taking something that was clearly undervaluing me. Holding that focus on faith, believing that by saying no to the mediocre, I was making space for the magnificence. That was a huge challenge, but it proved to be true.
And you have that incredible story about Anita, who needed to manifest a very specific number to pay off her debt. It shows how this alignment can work on a surprisingly literal level.
Anita was so dedicated, she needed exactly $75,000 to pay off her mortgage and her car loan so she could finally quit her corporate job and start her own business. So she meditated on the number 75. She believed, she visualized, but nothing was happening right away. She just kept telling herself, all that I desire is already here, somewhere. She just persisted in her belief.
And then what happened?
Months later, she found a cryptic note about a gift of stock shares she'd been given years ago. Originally, they were valued at like $200. She'd forgotten all about them when she checked the current valuation. $75,000 on the freaking nose. It's proof that when you align your energy, your focus, and your intention, the universe steps in and provides the pathway.
How does gratitude fit into maintaining that high-frequency vibration while we're waiting, especially when things feel grim?
Gratitude is the ultimate abundance vibration. It immediately shifts your focus from lack to appreciation. And what you appreciate, appreciates. So if you're worried about getting in a car accident, you choose to be grateful that it happened, even if you don't know the positive lesson yet. Maybe it saved you from being 10 minutes late to a job you would have hated. The situation itself becomes something you perceive in a powerful way. You move it from tragedy to opportunity.
That reframes every single setback. So for the listener who's feeling that friction, that gap between effort and results, how do we sustain faith and stop worry from taking over? What's the anchor?
Be patient and practice presence. We get so infuriated we have to wait 55 seconds for anything these days. But manifestation takes time, often because you need time to evolve into the person who can handle that level of success. The anchor is always your inner connection. Shut up, slow down, breathe, and connect to your higher self to act with intention. What you focus on, you create more of. So focus on the positive and know that the 75K is on its way.
To wrap up this incredible deep dive, can you give us a final, concise set of steps listeners can start tomorrow to radically change their financial reality? The most potent action items from the book.
Okay, we can boil it down to 4 non-negotiable steps. First, get specific. You must write a fantasy day in the life in the present tense. Detail not just what you have, but the feelings, the excitement, the freedom. Then do the math on what that life costs and boil it all down to a short, powerful, emotional mantra.
So the mantra isn't just a number, it's an emotional declaration tied to a fully costed vision.
Yeah. Exactly. Something like, I love making $300,000 a year as an interior designer. It makes me feel happy and invigorated. It connects the logic to the vibration. Second, take action on what you do know. If you don't have the whole picture, stop thinking about it and start moving with the bits you do know. If you love drawing and you love animals, start a business drawing people's pets tonight. Action leads to answers. Mulling leads to grouchiness. Third, upgrade your environment. Physically put yourself in the environment you desire. Go test drive the car every week. Stroll through the neighborhood you want to live in. Let your body feel what it's like to belong there. And most importantly, upgrade your people. Surround yourself with big thinkers and ass kickers who strengthen your faith and up your game. If your loved ones are naysayers, do not try to change them and do not share your dreams with them. Protect your frequency. And fourth, build confidence. Confidence is not something you're born with. It's a muscle. Fake it with your body. Stand tall, strut around. Then just do the scary thing. Don't wait until you feel confident. The more you push yourself and succeed at the scary thing, the stronger that muscle gets.
Just like your niece navigating the airport alone.
Exactly. She was terrified of flying alone, but once she navigated LAX and JFK, she walked out of that gate 6 feet taller. She proved to herself she was capable. And that proof is confidence.
That was truly a deep dive into mastering the mindset of wealth. It is so clear that financial success is entirely an inside job. It's about aligning your thoughts, your words, your beliefs, and your emotions with the big, bold life you really desire.
And my final thought for you is this. You cannot cling to the old you and your old relationships and grow into the new you at the same time. Growth is disruptive. You will upset people, you'll risk being unpopular, but you have to trust your desire to realize your greatness. Choose growth and know that you will attract new people who are at the exact same high frequency you are.
Thank you for sharing your awesome, no-nonsense insights and providing the roadmap to becoming a financial badass.